Hello everyone, welcome to Looney Bin. My name is Looney, and today's video I want to talk about what I think the Straw Hats bounty will be after Wano. Right now the Straw Hats bounty is pretty high. I think it's close to probably near 3 billion, I believe, in total. But if you include all the Straw Hats, I have to double check that, but I think it's around 3 billion. And depending on what happens in Wano, we might see a very high increase in bounty for several of the Straw Hats. Not all of them, but several of them. And I do think that the reality is that Kaido's going to be defeated. How Kaido's going to be defeated is going to probably... I have my own theory about it, but I'll probably say that for a different video. But I believe that Kaido will be defeated during the Wano arc. I think he will be beaten. I think not necessarily Luffy's gonna beat him, but I think in general Kaido's gonna fall during this arc. But we're here to talk about like what the Straw Hats bounties will be after Wano. Now, if we consider the fact that if you notice a pattern for Luffy's bounty, each time Luffy always faced his next strongest opponent, he always had a lower bounty. His strongest opponent will always have a higher bounty. I think we'll have a similar pattern to how Luffy's bounty is going to progress after Wano. Specifically with Luffy, I think it's necessary for him to have a lower bounty. Now, bounty does not mean someone stronger. Bounty doesn't equal to strength. It doesn't do that. We've seen plenty of times where that is a false equivalency. Luffy beating guys who had higher bounties than him, right? So I think, but there has been a pattern that Luffy always had a lower bounty than the next opponent he's gonna face. Similar to like how when Luffy faced Crocodile, Luffy had a lower bounty than Crocodile. When he faced Doflamingo, Luffy had a lower bounty than Doflamingo, and then as soon as he beat Doflamingo, his bounty went up higher than Doflamingo's, then Katakuri, and so on and so forth. And considering that we're probably very close to the end game, I could probably see Luffy's bounty being lower than who I think his next opponent is going to be, which is going to be Blackbeard. Because considering the fact that Oda is kind of speeding ahead towards the ending for One Piece, you could have Shanks in between, but my theory is that Blackbeard's going to kill Shanks, so I don't think Luffy's going to have a chance to fight Shanks in any form or way. So I believe his next opponent will be Blackbeard, his major big opponent next after Kaido and Wano. So let's consider this. Luffy's bounty currently is at 1.5 billion. Blackbeard's bounty is currently around 250 billion, around there. I believe that whatever Blackbeard's doing while Luffy's dealing with the whole Kaido and Wano thing is going to increase his bounty to possibly be about 4 billion. I think he's going to defeat... me personally, I think during that time Luffy's in Wano, Blackbeard kills Shanks. Right? With that being said, Luffy defeating Kaido should earn him a higher bounty, but I don't think that's what they're gonna do, because I think with what Shanks mentioned about a certain pirate who the war government should be worry about. I think that was Blackbeard that he was referring to, and because of that threat that he gave them, and because of him Blackbeard possibly killing Shanks, world government will give Blackbeard a much higher bounty because they see him as the more immediate threat right now, right? So by doing that, I think Luffy's bounty is going to suffer a little bit. I do think he might get around a 3 billion bounty, Luffy. I think it'll be double from his 1.5 billion. I think it'll be 3 billion and higher after Wano, and Blackbeard will be close to 4 billion, in my opinion. Because if we follow the pattern that Oda has set for Luffy's bounty, and then whoever his next highest, strongest opponent is going to be, they usually have a higher bounty in him. So I think Luffy's bounty after Wano will be around between 3 and 3.5 billion. And then Blackbeard's bounty will be 4 billion. Especially since Blackbeard has been doing things that a pirate, like a normal pirate should be doing, which is pillaging and all that stuff. So him being a more serious threat in the government's eyes, yes, that's a possibility. So I think in the end, Blackbeard is going to have a much higher bounty, probably in the 4 billion, and Luffy's probably going to be between 3 billion and 3.5 billion. If I had to guess a number, I'm probably going to think 3.225 billion. Right? So that's what I think Luffy's bounty is going to be. Next, we'll move on to the other Straw Hats. Let's move on to Zoro. Zoro is facing King. King's bounty is also in the billion. I believe it's like 1.15 billion or something like that. I think Zoro's bounty is gonna be over $1 billion. I truly believe Zoro's bounty is gonna be over $1 billion because we don't know necessarily how much Mihawk's bounty is, and I don't think we necessarily know how much Shiryu's bounty is. I might have to double check that. Give me one sec. Okay, so we don't know Shiryu's bounty. I'm gonna assume his bounty is close to $1 billion if we consider Shiryu being Blackbeard's right hand man, his first mate, whatever. I'm gonna assume Shiryu's bounty is like in the $1 billion, which means that Zoro's bounty is definitely gonna be in the $1 billion, especially if the next opponents are gonna be the Blackbeard Pirates. So I think if Zoro defeats King, which I think will happen, but I'm just saying if just in case, Zoro's bounty will reach $1 billion. I think that's fair to say. It's probably gonna be between 1 billion and 1.25 billion. I think that's fair to say that his bounty will be around there, especially because King looks like he's a very strong opponent, and the world government might see Zoro as an actual threat because he defeated King, Kaido's right-hand man. Kaido, who probably has currently the biggest bounty in One Piece right now. Not all time, but right now. So I think by defeating King, defeating his right-hand man, Zoro's bounty is going to be around the 1 billion mark. Right? So I do believe that Zoro will reach $1 billion. Next, we go to Sanji. Sanji's current bounty is 330 million, 10 million higher than Zoro's. I do believe that he has a strong possibility to reach $1 billion bounty. I do not think he will be higher than Zoro's bounty. I do believe that his bounty, in my personal opinion, I think his bounty will be roughly around 900 million to $1 billion, like somewhere between there. Maybe I could say it could be 800 million through $1 billion. I think he does have a strong possibility of reaching $1 billion, especially since Queen, I think, has like $1 billion bounty. So it's possible that both Sanji and Zoro do reach $1 billion bounty, which I think will be fine. Which would be how the story has been progressing. They've always been neck to neck with their bounty. I could see their bounties being very close to each other. Do I believe that Sanji's bounty will be higher than Zoro's? No. Simply for the fact that Zoro is facing basically the right-hand man of King, right-hand man of Kaido's. So I think Zoro's bounty will be higher, especially in terms of the world government's eye. That being said, Sanji is probably going to get a huge bounty increase. I do think he might reach $1 billion, but I truly think that right now the bounties would be Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, especially with how the story is written. Where, I mean, in my view, in the way the story is written and stuff like that, Sanji is third, Zoro is second, Luffy is first in terms of strength, because in most stories, Luffy being the main character, then the first support character will always be right behind him in terms of strength. So I do believe that's how it will wind up anyways. Nothing against Sanji. I just think that Sanji will be the third strongest fighter in the crew. So that's my prediction for Sanji. It will be probably between 800 million and $1 billion. I do think he has a good chance of hitting $1 billion. Now let's go with Jimbei. Jimbei, newest member of the crew. His bounty was about 438 million. And, most of that was basically his time as a pirate, his time as a Shichibukai. Sorry, I pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry. So I don't see a big increase, but I do see him reaching about 700 million. I do see Jimbei reaching the 700 million plateau, especially with who he faced in Wano. I think 700 million is probably a good area for Jimbei's bounty to increase to, especially since now that he's joined the Straw Pirate. So he's gonna get a much bigger bounty now, and yeah, I think Jimbei will be around 700, 800 million. I think he'll be lower than Sanji's bounty, but roughly around 700 million, I believe. Next after that, we have, let's go with Usopp. God Usopp. What would God Usopp's bounty be? Clearly, it's gonna be 2 billion because it's God Usopp. No, my prediction for God Usopp's bounty, it's currently right now 200 million. I think Usopp's bounty might reach 400 million. I truly think that he will reach 400 million. Granted, he doesn't have right now he doesn't have the biggest impact in Wano, but I think at the end his impact will be so huge that the world government recognize it as a threat and increase his bounty by about 200 million. So he'll be around 450, 400 million bounty. That's what I think. God Usopp. Well, of course his bounty is gonna be high just because it's gonna be a gag. After that, let's go with Frankie's bounty. Frankie's bounty is interesting because he's at 94 million. He's the only one who knows the plans of Pluton. Although I do think that Frankie, while he did have a good fight in Wano, I think his bounty will increase. I think his bounty will increase to about 200 million. I don't think it will go past 200 million, but I do think he'll be around 200 million. Especially with all the chaos he's currently running around Wano doing. I do think around 200 million is probably the best bet for him. Nico Robin, I think will surpass Frankie's bounty. I think Robin's bounty, especially since if she doesn't get captured by the world government and stuff like that, well, that's currently happening in the manga. I can see her bounty going high. I could see her going around 300 million. I can honestly see that simply because she is a bigger threat to the world government than just being part of the Strike Crew. Just for the fact that all she knows about the 3 weapons. She knows about the ancient civilization. So she has so much going against her in terms of how much the world government sees her as a threat. So I could see her bounty going from 130 million to like 300 million. I could honestly see that. So I think Nico Robin's bounty will probably be around 300 million. Brook currently stands at 83 million. I think his bounty will increase to about 170 million. Around 170 million, maybe higher if because of his interaction with the CP0 and stuff like that. I could see him going through maybe you could say close to 200. I would say about 180 million in my personal opinion. But it really depends on if CP0 sees Brook right now as a big threat and how he was protecting Robin, stuff like that. So, but I do think he will reach about 180 to 200 million bounty. Nami's bounty. Clearly, Nami's going to be around 4 billion because I'm a Nami stan. No, I'm just kidding. Nami's bounty is an interesting one because I think with the way her actions in Wano was, and granted, this might be like a favoritism on my part. I try not to play favorites, but I think Nami's bounty goes from 66 million to about, I want to say 170. Could she break 200 million? Maybe. I think that depending on how CP0 sees her gaining Zeus's powers and how she was able to steal Zeus's power from her, it could make her bounty go higher. But I think her roughly would be about, I want to say 150 to 170 million. And if they see her having Zeus as a bigger threat, maybe she could reach 200 million, but nothing higher than I think 210 million. I don't see that happening. My guess is between 150 and 170 million. And now we have Poor Chopper. Poor Chopper with a 100 berry bounty. Now, if Oda wants to continue to gag, he'll probably increase to 500 berries, and then that'll be that. But we'll see. I think with Chopper being I think with people saying Chopper being able to cure the people from Queen's poison, I think he might actually get a legitimate bounty. But I think if Oda continues the gag, I could see it being 500 or maybe even 150 berries. Poor Chopper. If he doesn't continue the gag, I could see it probably around 50 million. 50 million, I think, will probably be better for Chopper if CP0 actually sees him as more than just, the Straw Hat's pet, So, now let me see. Did I miss anyone? Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Chopper, Robin, Frankie, Brook. No. All right. So I got everyone's. So yeah. So that's my prediction for the Straw Hat's bounty increase after Wano. It's really all dependent on exactly how the raid ends up being. As will it fail? Will Luffy be beating Kaido? Do I think something else might happen that causes Kaido's defeat? I'm gonna say that, like I said, for another video. But I think that's roughly around where I believe the Straw Hats are gonna have their bounties. Around those areas, Luffy around 3 billion, Zoro around 1.2 to 1 billion, Sanji 800 million to 1 billion, Jimbei between 800 and 700 million, Usopp around 400 million, Chopper around 500 berries. Unless they see him as a threat, which would then be around 50 million. Robin probably will reach 380 million. Frankie about 200 million. Brook between 180 to 170 million. And Nami probably around 150 unless the world government sees her as a threat because of Zeus. So maybe she might reach 200 million. We will see. And yeah. Those are my predictions for the bounties for the Straw Hat Pirates. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments about what you might think the Straw Hat bounties are, please let me know in the comments below. And please, if you like this video, give it a like. If you want to see more of my One Piece content, please please hit the subscribe button so you know when I am uploading new videos. And thank you so much for watching. Just remember, I'm not crazy, just a little loony. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.